The command deck of the USS Perseus hummed with the familiar vibration of its aging propulsion systems. Commander Elena Voss felt the subtle tremor through the soles of her boots, a sensation that newer Confederation vessels had engineered away, but one she'd grown to find oddly comforting. It was the heartbeat of her ship, steady and reliable if not particularly impressive. Incoming transmission from the dauntless commander, announced Communications Officer Leon Reyes, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Admiral Kor requests our acknowledgement of fleet positioning. Elena suppressed a sigh. These requests had become increasingly frequent since the Perseus joined the Draelor Sector Patrol. The Confederation's showpiece fleet, with their gleaming hulls and subspace engines that could outpace anything this side of the Kessler Nebula, seemed to take particular delight in reminding the Perseus of its place. On screen, she ordered straightening her uniform jacket. The face of Fleet Admiral Rethan Kor materialized on the main view screen, his expression one of barely concealed impatience. The sleek command center of the Dauntless stretched behind him, a stark contrast to the utilitarian bridge of the Perseus. "Commander Voss," he began, his tone clipped. "The fleet will be advancing to waypoint Theta at maximum cruising speed. Your vessel will maintain its current pace and provide rear reconnaissance along Vector 227 Mark 43. There, it was another thinly veiled jab at the Perseus's sublight capabilities. Elena kept her expression neutral, though she noted the subtle shifting of her bridge crew. They'd heard it all before. "Acknowledged, Admiral. Perseus will cover the rear approach. Any specific anomalies we should be monitoring?" "Nothing your systems would detect before our sensor suites," Kor replied dismissively. "Consider it a precautionary measure. Dauntless out." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in momentary silence. "Well," drawled Tactical Officer Jack Orr from his station, "at least we won't have to look at his smug face during the exercise." A ripple of subdued laughter broke the tension. Elena allowed herself a small smile before returning to the task at hand. "Lieutenant Reyes, acknowledge the order and plot our course. Tactical, maintain passive scans of our assigned vector. Engineering status report. All systems functioning within acceptable parameters. Commander Pre," came the accented voice of Chief Engineer Raisa Kohn over the comms. "Though I wouldn't mind a day when acceptable didn't mean holding together by my technical ingenuity and a prayer to ancient starfarers." This time, Elena's smile was genuine. "Your miracles are duly noted and appreciated, Chief. Keep her steady." She settled into the command chair, studying the tactical display. The flickering blue icons representing the Confederation's elite vessels were already pulling ahead, their formation precise and imposing. The Perseus, represented by a solitary red marker, trailed behind at a distance that would only increase as the exercise progressed. "They're really putting on a show today," observed Navigator Thomas Hendricks. "Formation Epsilon 6. That's typically reserved for diplomatic displays. Or to remind colonial governors who holds the big guns," added Jack, without looking up from his console. Elena watched the fleet's trajectory with a critical eye. For all their posturing, Kor ran a tight operation. The Confederation's rapid response doctrine had transformed interstellar peacekeeping with ships capable of arriving at trouble spots before most conflicts could escalate. That doctrine had also relegated vessels like the Perseus, older, more deliberate crafts, to support roles at best, obsolescence at worst. "Their speed makes them predictable," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Ma'am," Hendricks glanced over. "Nothing, Navigator. Just an observation." She rose from her chair. "I'll be in my ready room reviewing our reconnaissance parameters. You have the bridge, Lieutenant Orr." The ready room offered a brief respite from the scrutiny of her crew. Elena crossed to the viewport, gazing at the distant stars. The Perseus had been her first command, a milestone most ambitious officers would consider a stepping stone rather than a destination. Yet 3 years later, she remained here commanding a warship that the Confederation increasingly viewed as a relic. Her console chimed with an incoming message. Elena activated it to find the weathered face of Captain Davy Sorensen an old academy friend, now commanding the Confederation cruiser Indomitable. "Lena." He greeted her with a crooked smile. "I see Core's got you playing caboose again." "Hello, Davy. Yes, we're becoming quite the experts at watching everyone else's exhaust trails." "Don't take it personally. He does the same to anyone not pushing the latest propulsion systems. Politics of procurement, the shipyards need justification for their exorbitant contracts." Elena leaned against her desk. "Is that your way of saying my ship is making a valuable contribution to the Confederation budget?" Sorensen laughed. "Your words, not mine. Look, I just wanted to give you a heads up. Scuttlebutt says Core is documenting this exercise for the Admiralty Board. There's talk of fleet restructuring." The unspoken implication hung between them. Restructuring often meant decommissioning for ships like the Perseus. "Thanks for the warning," she said. "We'll be sure to look extra vigilant while scanning empty space for non-existent threats." "That's the spirit." "Seriously though, Lena," Sorensen's expression softened. "The Perseus is a good ship with a hell of a captain. Don't let the speed demons forget that." After the transmission ended, Elena remained at her desk pulling up the Perseus specifications. The Artemis-class vessel had been state-of-the-art when launched 20 years ago. Now, its titanium hull and conventional warp field geometry were considered outdated, its weaponry functional, but unremarkable, its sensor packages reliable, rather than revolutionary. Yet there was something to be said for proven technology. The Perseus had survived 3 border skirmishes and a Kelvari ambush that had claimed 2 newer vessels. Its redundant systems and sturdy construction had saved the crew more than once. "Commander," Jack's voice came over the intercom. "We're approaching our patrol vector." "On my way." Returning to the bridge, Elena found the main viewer displaying their assigned reconnaissance area, a sparse region flanking the fleet's wake, containing a distant nebula that shimmered with ionized particles. "Begin full sensor sweep," she ordered. "Let's show the Admiral what thorough reconnaissance actually looks like." For the next several hours, the Perseus methodically scanned the sector. While the main fleet executed their flashy maneuvers, light years ahead, Elena's crew cataloged spatial anomalies, mapped gravimetric distortions, and analyzed radiation patterns from the nebula. It was unglamorous work, but they performed it with the precision that had become the Perseus hallmark. "Commander," called Reyes, "I'm detecting unusual energy fluctuations from the outer boundary of the nebula. Frequency doesn't match any natural phenomenon in our database." Elena moved to the communication station. "Source?" "Unclear. The nebula's interfering with precise localization." Reyes adjusted several parameters. "But there's a pattern to it. Not random." "Put it on audio." A series of distorted pulses filled the bridge, irregular, yet somehow deliberate in their sequence. "Could be equipment malfunction," suggested Hendricks. "Or a distress signal," countered Jack, joining them at communications. "Run it through the pattern recognition algorithms." Reyes did so, and the computer's analysis appeared on her screen. 78% probability it's artificially generated. Definitely not Confederation frequencies. "Civilian transport?" asked Elena. "Doesn't match registered commercial channels either." Elena considered their options. Fleet protocol dictated reporting any anomalies, but Core had made his opinion of the Perseus' capabilities abundantly clear. "How far to the signal source?" "Approximately 3 light hours, Commander," replied Hendricks. "Well within our reconnaissance parameters," Elena noted. "Helm adjust course to investigate. Communications prepare a report for the fleet, but hold transmission until we have something concrete to report." "You think they take us seriously without hard evidence?" Jack asked quietly. "I think we should give them no reason to dismiss us," Elena replied. "Let's find out what we're dealing with first." As the Perseus altered course toward the nebula's edge, Elena felt a familiar tension building, the prelude to discovery or danger. Either way, it was a welcome change from the monotony of their assigned patrol. "Chief Engineer to Bridge," came Rais's voice over the comm. "I'm registering unusual stress on our lateral sensor arrays. These nebula particles are more corrosive than standard readings indicate." "Acknowledged." Can we maintain course? A moment of silence. For now. But I'd prefer not to linger once we've identified the source. Understood, Chief. We'll be quick. As the Perseus penetrated the nebula's outer boundary, the view screen filled with swirling clouds of ionized gas, brilliant purples, and deep blues, interspersed with startling flashes of electrical discharge. Visibility reduced to 40%, reported Hendricks. Navigational sensors compensating. Signal strength increasing, added Reyes. Definitely artificial. I'm detecting a modulated carrier wave now. Can you clean it up? Working on it, there. The disjointed pulses transformed into a fragmented voice. Transmission. Repeat, this is settlement under attack. Heavy casualties requesting immediate... Colonial distress call, Jack frowned. There shouldn't be any settlements in this sector. Confederation registry shows nothing authorized, confirmed Reyes, after checking her database. Eilena's mind raced through possibilities. Unmapped colony spacecraft crash survivors. Or a trap, suggested Jet grimly. Signal location. Coordinates locked, Hendricks reported. Bearing 114 Mark 76, approximately 20,000 kilometers ahead. Yellow alert, ordered Eilena. Shields up, weapons on standby. Proceed at 1/4 impulse. The Perseus crept forward through the nebula's shifting veils, sensors straining against the ionized interference. On the tactical display, a faint cluster of energy signatures gradually took shape. Multiple structures detected, reported Jack. Artificial construction and power signatures. Definitely not Confederation technology. Life signs. Indeterminate at this range. The nebula's radiation is masking biosigns. Commander, Reyes interrupted. I've analyzed the architecture of those structures. They appear to match known configurations used by the Keratin Syndicate. A collective tension swept the bridge. The Keratins were notorious pirates and smugglers who preyed on isolated shipping lanes throughout the sector. Their raids had become increasingly bold in recent months, though no one had yet located their base of operations. That's why it's not in registry, Alina realized. It's a pirate outpost hidden in the nebula. Should we contact the fleet? Asked Hendricks. Eilena hesitated. This discovery warranted immediate reporting, yet she was reluctant to simply pass the information to Core without verification, especially when he would question why the Perseus had deviated from its assigned vector. No, not yet. Her decision crystallized. We need confirmation, and we need to assess the threat level. You're proposing we investigate a pirate stronghold alone. Jack's expression was incredulous. I'm proposing we gather intelligence before alerting the fleet. If this is indeed a Keratin outpost, the Confederation will want precise targeting data. Eilena met his gaze steadily. Unless you'd prefer Admiral Core dismiss our finding as a sensor ghost. After a moment, Jack nodded. Point taken, Commander. But we should maintain our distance. The Perseus isn't exactly built for stealth operations. Agreed. Helm position us behind that large gas cloud. It should mask our signature. She tapped her communicator. Bridge to engineering. Khan here. Chief, I need you to dampen our engine emissions as much as possible. We're conducting close surveillance of a potential hostile installation. A brief pause. Commander, that would require taking our warp core to minimal output. If we need to make a quick exit. I understand the risk. Do what you can. Aye, Commander, but I must officially register my concern for the record. Noted, Chief. Bridge out. Elena turned to Jack. Prepare a surveillance drone. Minimal power signature maximum sensor package. Already on it. As the Perseus settled into position behind the gaseous formation, Elena studied the tactical display with growing concern. The outpost was larger than initially estimated, at least a dozen interconnected structures, with what appeared to be defensive installations and docking facilities for multiple vessels. Drone ready for deployment, announced Jack. Launch when ready. Let's see what we're dealing with. The tiny probe silently detached from the Perseus, its thrusters barely registering on sensors as it drifted toward the pirate facility. Within minutes, enhanced telemetry began flowing to the tactical station. I'm counting at least 6 vessels docked at the facility, reported Jack. Various configurations, but all heavily armed. Population estimate, between 150 and 200 life forms. Can we intercept any communications? The drone's working on it. Their encryption is sophisticated, but wait. Jack's expression sharpened. Commander, one of the vessels is powering up. Design matches Carradine assault ships we've encountered before, but there's something different about its energy signature. On the view screen, a sleek, predatory craft detached from the outpost, its hull gleaming dully in the nebula's ambient light. They're running some kind of test. Jack continued studying the drone's data. Energy buildup in what appears to be a non-standard weapons array. Can you identify it? Working on it. The configuration is unusual. Wait. His voice dropped. Commander, they're powering up a quantum resonance projector. Aelina felt her blood chill. Quantum resonance technology was theoretical, a Confederation research directive classified at the highest levels. It was designed to disrupt the phase harmonics of shield generators, potentially rendering them useless. How did pirates get hold of quantum resonance technology? She demanded. Unknown, but the signatures are unmistakable. Jack looked up, his expression grave. If they've developed a functional quantum scrambler, it could neutralize the defensive capabilities of any ship in the fleet, including the Dauntless. Especially the Dauntless. The newer shield generators would be more vulnerable to phase disruption. The implications were staggering. The Confederation's technological advantage, the very speed and power that Admiral Core prized, could become its greatest weakness. We need to alert the fleet immediately, said Hendricks. Agreed. Aelina nodded to Reyes. Prepare encrypted transmission to Admiral Core. Priority Alpha. Commander, interrupted Jack. The test ship is changing course. It's heading out of the nebula, on an intercept trajectory, with the fleet's projected path. They're planning an ambush, Aelina realized. While the fleet is focused on their exercise. Transmission ready, reported Reyes. Send it. The bridge lurched violently, consoles sparking, as a massive energy surge tore through the ship's systems. We've been hit, shouted Jack. Some kind of ionic pulse, they've detected us. Evasive maneuvers, ordered Aelina. Get us out of sensor range. Helm responding sluggishly. Hendricks reported his fingers flying across the controls. That pulse affected our navigation systems. Engineering to bridge, Rice's voice crackled through static. We've lost 30% of power distribution. Attempting to reroute. Was the transmission sent? Aelina demanded. Reyes shook her head. Communications array is offline. The pulse specifically targeted our transmitters. On the tactical display, 2 smaller vessels had detached from the pirate base and were moving to flank the Perseus. They're boxing us in, observed Jack grimly. Aelina's mind raced through their options. The Perseus couldn't outrun the pirate vessels, especially with damaged systems. A direct confrontation was equally unappealing, given their current condition and the unknown capabilities of the enemy. Status of the drone, she asked. Still functional. They haven't detected it. Reconfigure it for long-range transmission. Have it carry our warning to the fleet. That would take time to program, and the drone's range is limited, Jack pointed out. Then we'll give it a head start. Tactical prepare forward phasers. Target the lead pursuit vessel's propulsion systems. Phasers ready. Fire. Twin beams of concentrated energy lanced from the Perseus, striking the approaching pirate ship. Its shields flared briefly before the beams penetrated, connecting with the vessel's engines in a bloom of released plasma. Direct hit, announced Jack. Their engines are disabled. The second ship is altering course, reported Hendricks. They're breaking off pursuit to assist. Good. That gives us a window. Deploy the drone now. The reprogrammed surveillance unit accelerated away from the Perseus, its trajectory taking it clear of the nebula toward the Confederation fleet's last known coordinates. All available power to engines, ordered Aelina. Let's put some distance between us and that outpost. Commander Rais's voice came through the comm. Warp drive is offline. The best I can give you is 60% impulse. That'll have to do, Helm, take us deeper into the nebula. Let's use the ionization to mask our signature. As the Perseus limped away from the pirate facility, Elena gathered her senior officers in the Auxiliary Command Center, the main bridge having sustained damage from the ionic pulse. Damage report, she requested. Raisa consulted her datapad. Primary communications array is fried. Secondary array is functional, but limited to short range. Navigation systems are operating at 70% efficiency. Warp drive will require at least 6 hours of repairs before we can attempt even low warp speeds. Weapons are operational shields at 80% capability. What about the quantum scrambler? Could they use it against us? Asked Elena. Unlikely, replied Jack. Our shield technology is older. It operates on different phase harmonics than the newer Confederation ships. The scrambler appears designed specifically to counter the latest defensive systems. Small favors for being outdated, muttered Raisa. What about the drone? Asked Hendricks. Any sign it got through? Reyes shook her head. No way to tell. We've lost contact with it, which either means it's been destroyed or it's simply out of our limited comm range. Elena studied the tactical display, showing their position relative to the pirate base. Assuming the drone doesn't reach the fleet, how long before they realize we're missing? The exercise is scheduled to last another 30 hours, said Hendricks. Given our assigned reconnaissance duties, they might not expect regular check-ins. And by then the pirates could spring their trap, concluded Jack. Elena paced the small command center, her mind working through scenarios. The pirate test ship is heading toward the fleet's path. If we assume they intend to use the quantum scrambler in an ambush, the entire fleet could be vulnerable, finished Raisa. Those fancy new shields would collapse like a vacating pressure bubble. So we have to warn them, said Reyes. Or stop the pirates ourselves, suggested Jack. All eyes turned to him. Tactical analysis suggests we have two options, he continued. Either we repair our systems sufficiently to reach the fleet, which engineering says will take at least 6 hours, or we attempt to neutralize the pirate threat directly. With one damaged ship against their entire base, Raisa's tone was incredulous. Not the base, corrected Elena, catching Jack's meaning. The test ship, the one carrying the quantum scrambler. Precisely, nodded Jack. If we can't warn the fleet, perhaps we can eliminate the immediate threat. The pirate ship has a significant speed and maneuverability advantage, pointed out Hendricks. True, acknowledged Elena. But they don't know we survived. They hit us with that pulse and saw us disappear into the nebula. They'll assume we're crippled or destroyed. Which we nearly are, muttered Raisa. From their perspective, yes. And that gives us an element of surprise. Elena's determination hardened. If we can't outrun them, we'll outsmart them. Over the next hour, they formulated a plan. While Raisa and her engineering team worked to restore critical systems, Jack analyzed the drone's data on the pirate test ship, identifying potential vulnerabilities. Reyes and Hendricks plotted an intercept course that would utilize the nebula's electromagnetic properties to mask their approach. The key is the timing, explained Elena, as they reviewed the final plan. Based on their last known trajectory, the pirate ship will exit the nebula here approximately 90 minutes from now. They'll then proceed to this position, where they'll likely lie in wait for the fleet. Which gives us one opportunity to intercept, added Jack. We position ourselves at this juncture and emerge from the nebula as they pass. With our weapons at full readiness, we'll have perhaps 30 seconds to disable their scrambler before they can fully react. And if we miss that window, asked Raisa, then we fight conventionally and hope our old-fashioned shields hold up better than expected, replied Elena. She surveyed her officers. I won't pretend this isn't risky, but the alternative is allowing an entire fleet to fly blind into a trap. The Perseus was built for exactly this kind of operation, said Jack. Sturdy, reliable with targeting systems that don't rely on the latest quantum-entangled processors that might be affected by their scrambler. Sometimes old tech is the best tech, agreed Raisa, though her expression remained concerned. I'll have propulsion and weapons ready, But Commander, I must tell you that pushing our damage systems this hard, there's a chance the stress could breach our warp core containment. Noted, Chief. We'll proceed with caution. Elena stood straighter. Return to your stations. We move in 30 minutes. As the officers dispersed, Jack lingered. Something on your mind, Lieutenant? Asked Elena. Permission to speak freely. Always. This plan. It's exactly why you belong on this ship. His expression was earnest. Any of those hotshot captains from the fleet would be focused solely on escaping to report back. You're thinking like a true tactician. Or a desperate commander with limited options, she replied with a slight smile. Sometimes, those are the same thing. He hesitated. I just wanted you to know whatever happens, the crew believes in this ship. And in you. The sentiment warmed her, even as she acknowledged the weight of responsibility it represented. Thank you, Jack. Now let's make sure that belief is justified. The Perseus slipped through the nebula's shifting currents. Like a ghost, its engines dampened to minimal output, its sensors passive rather than active. On the bridge, the crew worked in near silence, each focused intently on their tasks. Approaching intercept position, reported Hendricks. ETA 9 minutes. Engineering reports all available power diverted to weapons and shields, added Reyes. Elena nodded, her gaze fixed on the tactical display. The pirate test ship, now identified as the Phantom by intercepted communications, was proceeding on its predicted course, unaware of the ambush being prepared. Lieutenant Orr, final targeting analysis. Jack studied his console. Their scrambler device appears housed in the aft section, integrated with their main power distribution network. Precision strikes to these 3 junctions should disable it without triggering a catastrophic overload. Understood. Lock targeting solutions. Solutions locked. Phasers and torpedoes standing by. The minutes ticked by with excruciating slowness, the tension on the bridge building with each passing second. Through the view screen, they could see the nebula's edge approaching a thinning veil of ionized particles that marked the boundary between concealment and exposure. Phantom on final approach, announced Hendricks. Crossing our intercept point in 20 seconds. All hands battle stations, ordered Elena. Helm, prepare for full impulse on my mark. The crew braced themselves, the ship humming with restrained energy. 10 seconds. 5, 3, 2, 1. Mark, Elena commanded. The Perseus surged forward, bursting from the nebula's cover directly into the path of the unsuspecting pirate vessel. On the view screen, the Phantom's sleek form registered surprise in its sudden evasive maneuver. Target locked, shouted Jack. Firing. The Perseus weapons discharged in a coordinated sequence, phaser beams, precisely striking the Phantom's vulnerable junctions, while photon torpedoes created a dispersal pattern that prevented escape. Direct hits, reported Jack. Scrambler power signatures fluctuating. The Phantom reeled from the assault, its shields flaring as they absorbed the unexpected barrage. Then, with remarkable agility, it spun to bring its own weapons to bear. Incoming, warned Hendricks. The bridge shuddered as energy blasts struck the Perseus's shields. Shields holding at 70%, reported Jack. They're targeting our weapons array. Evasive pattern delta, ordered Elena. Keep our forward phasers aligned with their scrambler housing. The Perseus lurched into a defensive role, its bulkier frame responding with surprising responsiveness thanks to Hendricks' skilled piloting. The maneuver carried them underneath the Phantom, allowing Jack to fire another coordinated strike at the scrambler assembly. Engineering to bridge, Raisa's voice was tight with strain. Port power conduits are overheating. We can't maintain this output level for more than a few minutes. Understood. Tactical status of the target? Scrambler power signatures diminishing but still active, replied Jack. Their shields are adapting to our phaser frequencies. Elena made a swift calculation. Helm, bring us about for another pass. Tactical, recalibrate phasers and prepare quantum torpedoes full yield. Commander, Jack's voice held concern. At this range, the torpedo detonation could damage us as well. I'm counting on you to make it count with the first salvo. Her gaze was unwavering. We won't get a second chance. As the Perseus swung around for another attack run, the Phantom unleashed a barrage of its own. The bridge rocked violently as multiple impacts struck their weakening shields. "Shields down to 45%, called Jack. "Hull breach on deck 4. Emergency force fields engaging." "Maintain course," Elena ordered, gripping her command chair as the ship shuddered around them. "Tactical fire when ready." The Perseus weapons unleashed their full fury phasers, carving through the Phantom's weakened shield grid, while quantum torpedoes streaked toward the precisely calculated impact points. For a breathless moment, it seemed the torpedoes might miss as the Phantom executed a desperate evasive maneuver. Then, guided by Jack's expert targeting, they detonated in perfect sequence against the pirate vessel's vulnerable sections. The view screen flared with the brilliant energy release, forcing the bridge crew to shield their eyes. When the glare subsided, the Phantom was listing badly venting plasma from multiple breaches. "Scrambler assembly destroyed," reported Jack, his voice thick with restrained triumph. "Their weapons are offline. Hull integrity failing." "Status of our shields," demanded Elena. 20% and falling. The torpedo detonation stress was significant. "Engineering reports multiple system failures," added Reyes. "Warp core containment holding, but Chief Cohn recommends immediate power reduction." Elena nodded. "Stand down from battle stations. Helm establish a safe distance. Communications hail the Phantom." After several tense moments, a visual connection was established. The face that appeared on screen was that of a severe-looking man with cybernetic implants, visible along his left temple, the pirate captain. "This is Commander Elena Voss of the Federation starship Perseus," she began. "I know who you are," the man cut in, his voice coldly mechanical. "I am Koresh Vaughn. You have interfered with matters beyond your understanding, Commander." "I understand enough. Your quantum scrambler would have crippled an entire fleet, cost countless lives." A thin smile crossed Vaughn's face. "And yet here you are, one obsolete vessel standing alone, while your fleet plays war games oblivious to real threats. Surrender your vessel, Vaughn. Prepare to be boarded." "I think not." His expression hardened. "This encounter is merely a setback. There are more scramblers, more ships. The Caridans have evolved beyond mere piracy, Commander. We are the future, the counterbalance to Confederation arrogance." The transmission abruptly terminated. On the tactical display, energy readings from the Phantom spiked dangerously. "They're overloading their core," shouted Jack. "Helm maximum distance," ordered Elena. The Perseus strained away from the dying pirate ship, its damaged engines protesting the sudden demand. Behind them, the Phantom erupted in a spectacular explosion, the shockwave racing outward to engulf everything in its path. "Brace for impact." The shockwave struck with devastating force, tossing the Perseus like a toy. Consoles exploded in cascades of sparks. Structural supports groaned under impossible stress, and for several terrifying moments, it seemed the aged warship might finally succumb to forces beyond its design specifications. Then, gradually, the chaos subsided. Emergency lighting cast the smoke-filled bridge in an eerie red glow as damage reports flooded in from all sections. "Hull breaches on decks 3, 4, and 6, reported Reyes, bleeding from a cut on her forehead. "Emergency force fields holding. Multiple injuries reported throughout the ship." "Engineering reports warp core stable but offline," added Jack, who had taken over tactical and operations. "Impulse engines at 20%. Life support functional." Elena pulled herself back into the command chair, wincing at the pain in her shoulder. "Communications." "Secondary array survived. We have short-range capabilities only." "Keep trying to reach the fleet and scan for survivors from the Phantom." "No life signs detected," confirmed Jack after a moment. "Vaughn went down with his ship." Elena nodded grimly. The victory felt hollow, given the cost a severely damaged ship-injured crew, and the knowledge that more threats like the Quantum Scrambler might exist. "Commander," called Reyes suddenly, "I'm receiving a transmission. Confederation frequencies." Hope surged through Elena. "On screen." The view screen flickered to life, revealing the concerned face of Captain Sorensen. "Perseus, do you read? This is Indomitable. We've detected weapons fire and a massive explosion in your vicinity. Status report. Indomitable, this is Perseus, Alina replied, relief evident in her voice. We've neutralized a significant threat, a Keratin vessel equipped with quantum phase disruption technology designed to disable Confederation shields. Sorensen's expression shifted from concern to shock. Did you say quantum phase disruption? That's theoretical technology. Not anymore. We've destroyed one vessel carrying the device, but we have reason to believe there are others. We've also located a hidden Keratin base in the nearby nebula. Understood. The fleet is altering course to your position. Admiral Kor has been informed of your discovery. We'll need assistance, Captain. The Perseus sustained heavy damage in the engagement. Help is on the way, Lena. Just hold on. His expression softened momentarily. And, well done. When the transmission ended, Alina allowed herself a moment of pure exhaustion. Around her, the bridge crew continued their duties, amid the damage their professionalism undiminished by the ordeal they'd endured. You know, said Jack, breaking the silence, for a slow ship we struck pretty damn fast. A tired laugh rippled through the bridge. Send our sensor logs and tactical analysis to the Indomitable, ordered Alina. Let's make sure the fleet knows exactly what they're dealing with. What about the base in the nebula? Asked Reyes. That's a job for the fleet, replied Alina. Our job was to ensure they had the chance to do it. 4 hours later, the Perseus drifted at the center of the Confederation fleet, its battle-scarred hull, a stark contrast to the pristine vessels surrounding it. Medical and engineering teams had been dispatched to assist with casualties and critical repairs, while fleet security units prepared to assault the pirate base. In her ready room, Alina received the unexpected visit of Admiral Kor himself. The fleet commander seemed strangely diminished outside the context of his flagship bridge, his confidence tempered by recent events. Commander Voss, he began formally. I've reviewed your preliminary report. The initiative you displayed in investigating the anomalous signals and your decisive action in neutralizing the Keratin vessel represent the highest traditions of Confederation service. Thank you, Admiral, Alina replied, maintaining an equally formal tone. My crew deserves the credit. They performed exceptionally under difficult circumstances. Kor nodded, then hesitated, seemingly struggling with his next words. Your actions saved this fleet from potentially catastrophic losses. Our technical analysts confirm that the quantum scrambler would have rendered our defensive systems inoperable. The Perseus' older shield configuration proved advantageous in this instance, Alina noted. Sometimes conventional technology has unexpected benefits. Indeed, Kor's expression shifted slightly. I may have been hasty in my assessment of your vessel's capabilities. Coming from Kor, it was tantamount to a full apology. Alina acknowledged it with a nod. The fleet restructuring proposal I was preparing, he continued, will be significantly revised in light of these events. Diversity of capabilities, it seems, remains a strategic asset. The Confederation needs vessels of all types, Admiral, fast responders and deliberate operators. Each has their place. As you've demonstrated quite effectively, he straightened. Once repairs are complete, the Perseus will join the primary assault group against the Keratin base. Your first-hand knowledge of their defensive capabilities will be invaluable. After the Admiral departed, Alina made her rounds of the ship, visiting injured crew members and assessing repair progress. In engineering, she found Raisa amidst a chaos of dismantled components and diagnostic equipment, directing repairs with the precision of a symphony conductor. Chief, she greeted. Status report. Raisa looked up, exhaustion evident in her features, but pride burning in her eyes. We'll have warp capability restored within 12 hours, Commander. The old girl took a beating, but her bones are sound. Any systems beyond repair? Nothing critical. We've had to cannibalize some secondary systems and we'll need a proper refit at a starbase, but... She patted a nearby bulkhead affectionately. Perseus will fly again. She's too stubborn to quit. Like her crew, added Alina with a smile. Speaking of which, Raisa said, her expression growing serious. I wanted to apologize for my earlier pessimism. When we were planning the intercept, You assessed the risks honestly, as is your duty, Elena interrupted. I expect nothing less from my chief engineer. Yes, but... Raisa shook her head. I've spent so long compensating for this ship's limitations that I sometimes forget its strengths. Today was a reminder. For all of us, agreed Elena. In the converted cargo bay, serving as a temporary medical facility, Elena found Dr. Elias Mikado, tending to the injured. The ship's chief medical officer looked up from treating a crewman's plasma burn. Commander, he acknowledged. Come to check on your walking wounded. How are they? 23 injuries, 6 serious but stable. No fatalities. His expression was grim but satisfied. It could have been much worse. I know. Elena surveyed the rows of occupied beds. How soon can they return to duty? Most will be cleared within 48 hours. The more severe cases will require transfer to a medical facility. We're joining the assault on the pirate base once repairs are complete, she informed him. I need all hands possible. Mikado nodded. I'll prioritize treatment accordingly. But Commander, he lowered his voice. Some of these people pushed well beyond normal limits today. They'll do so again if you ask, but there's a cost. I understand, Doctor. We'll rotate shifts to ensure adequate rest. She paused. And Mikado, excellent work today. His weathered features softened briefly. Just doing my job, Commander, like everyone else on this remarkable ship. That evening, as the Perseus underwent its transformation from battle-damaged vessel to operational warship, Elena stood at the viewport in her quarters, watching the distant nebula where the Keratin base remained hidden. Tomorrow, the fleet would strike, eliminating the pirate threat and securing the sector. The Perseus would participate not as an afterthought, but as an integral component of the assault force, its experience and resilience now recognized as assets rather than liabilities. Her door chimed, interrupting her contemplation. Enter. Jack stepped in, carrying a small data crystal. Final tactical analysis, Commander, including projected weaknesses in the Keratin-based defenses based on our encounter with the Phantom. Thank you, Lieutenant. She accepted the crystal. This will be valuable for the assault planning. He nodded, but instead of leaving, he lingered, seemingly with more on his mind. Is there something else? Word from the fleet, he said. The quantum scrambler wasn't just aimed at the Confederation. Intelligence suggests the Keratins were preparing to auction the technology to various bidders, including several governments with aggressive expansion agendas. The implications were chilling, which means we potentially prevented multiple conflicts across the sector. All because a slow ship was in exactly the right place at exactly the right time, Jack observed with a hint of satisfaction. There's a lesson in that, mused Elena. There is, agreed Jack. And I'm pleased to report the lesson hasn't been lost on our esteemed fleet command. Admiral Kor has requested that Confederation tactical doctrine be updated to incorporate what he's calling the Perseus Protocol, the strategic employment of diverse vessel capabilities for comprehensive threat response. Elena raised an eyebrow. The Perseus Protocol. His exact words, confirmed Jack with a grin. It seems you've made quite an impression, Commander. After he departed, Elena returned to her contemplation of the nebula, though her thoughts had shifted from the coming battle to broader considerations. Throughout her career, she had accepted the Confederation's emphasis on speed and cutting-edge technology as the inevitable march of progress, leaving vessels like the Perseus to be gradually phased out of service. Today had revealed the short-sightedness of that approach. Technology advanced, certainly, but so did the threats arrayed against it. Diversity of capability wasn't inefficiency. It was insurance against the unknown. The Perseus might never match the Dauntless in speed or firepower, but it possessed other qualities equally valuable: resilience, adaptability, and a crew that understood how to maximize those attributes. As if summoned by her thoughts, her communication panel chimed with an incoming transmission. It was from Admiral Kor. Commander, he began without preamble. The assault plan has been finalized. Perseus will approach from Vector 227 Mark 43, providing tactical support for the main strike force. Acknowledged, Admiral. We'll be ready. Kor hesitated, then added, The approach vector. It's the same one I assigned you for reconnaissance. Perhaps not coincidental after all. Sometimes the slow path reveals what the fast path misses, she offered. Indeed. A ghost of a smile crossed his features. I look forward to seeing what else the Perseus might teach us. Dauntless out. As the transmission ended, Elena felt a profound satisfaction settle over her. The Perseus had proven its worth today, not by attempting to be something it wasn't, but by fully embracing what it was: a sturdy, reliable vessel, with a captain and crew who understood its unique strengths. Everyone had mocked the slow human warship until it struck. And in that strike lay a lesson the entire Confederation would now learn: that true strength came not from uniformity of approach, but from diversity of capability. That sometimes being deliberate rather than swift created opportunities otherwise missed. That there remained a place among the stars for vessels like the Perseus and the men and women who served aboard her. It was, Elena reflected, as she prepared for the coming assault, a lesson worth every scar her ship had earned today.